Today, I want to talk about something that fundamentally changes the way men respond to you. Have you ever noticed those women who walk into a room and immediately command attention? The ones who speak, and everyone, especially men, just naturally leans in to listen? I was coaching a client in New York last month. Let's call her Sarah. Brilliant woman, successful in her career, absolutely gorgeous. But in her relationships, she kept attracting men who wouldn't commit, who treat her as an option rather than a priority. When I observed her interactions with men, I spotted it immediately. It wasn't what she was saying, it was how she was saying it. This isn't about playing games or becoming someone you're not. It's about communicating in a way that reflects your true value. And today, I'm going to share with you 8 powerful communication shifts that high-value women make that completely transform how men respond to them. Number 1, they speak from confidence, not neediness. Here's the thing about confidence that most people get wrong. It's not about feeling perfect or knowing everything. It's about being comfortable with who you are, flaws and all. When a high-value woman speaks to a man, there's no hidden agenda in her words. She's not secretly fishing for compliments or validation. She doesn't end her sentences with that upward inflection that sounds like a question, because she's not asking for permission to have her opinion. Imagine you're at dinner with someone you've been dating for a few weeks. He says something you disagree with about politics. A woman coming from neediness might laugh nervously and change the subject, or pretend to agree to avoid tension, or even apologize before sharing her different view. But a high-value woman simply says, "Actually, I see it differently," and explains her perspective, not aggressively, but matter-of-factly. She's not trying to win an argument, she's just being authentic. And here's what's fascinating. Men are drawn to this, not because they want someone who always disagrees with them. God, no, but because they respect someone who knows her own mind. I remember coaching a group seminar in London where I asked men what quality they found most attractive in a woman, beyond physical appearance. Almost unanimously, they said confidence. When I asked why, one gentleman said something I'll never forget. "Because if she believes in herself, I don't have to constantly convince her of her worth, and that's exhausting." Let me tell you about another client of mine, Rebecca. When she first came to me, she was constantly seeking approval in her relationship. She would text her boyfriend multiple times asking if he was upset with her, if he didn't respond right away. She would apologize before expressing any needs. She would constantly ask him if he thought she looked good in what she was wearing. The relationship was draining for both of them. After working together for a few months, she made one crucial shift. She stopped looking for external validation and started providing it for herself. The transformation was remarkable. Not only did her boyfriend respond to her differently, but everyone in her life did. Her colleagues took her more seriously. Her friends respected her boundaries. And most importantly, she felt a sense of inner peace she'd never experienced before. That's the magic of speaking from confidence, rather than neediness. It's not just about how others perceive you. It's about how you experience your own life. Number 2, they set boundaries without apology. Now, this is where many women struggle. We're culturally conditioned to be accommodating, to say yes, to prioritize harmony over our own needs. But listen carefully, boundaries aren't just healthy, they're magnetic. A high-value woman understands that her standards aren't up for negotiation. She doesn't present them as demands or ultimatums, she simply lives by them. Let me give you a practical example. If a man texts her at 9 p.m. asking if she's free to meet up that same night, and she has a personal rule about not accepting last-minute invitations, she doesn't make up an elaborate excuse, feel guilty for saying no, or compromise her standard to please him. Instead, she might say, "I've already settled in for the night, but I'd love to see you with a bit more notice. How's your schedule looking later this week?" This response does 3 powerful things. It enforces her boundary about no last-minute plans. It expresses interest, removing any sting of rejection, and it offers a solution by suggesting meeting another time. The right man doesn't see this as difficult or high maintenance. He sees it as self-respect. And here's the beautiful secret. When you respect yourself, you train others how to treat you. I had a client once who was afraid to set boundaries with men she was dating because she thought they would leave. She was right about one thing. Some men did leave when she started expressing her needs clearly. But those weren't the men who were right for her anyway. The man who eventually became her husband was attracted to her precisely because she had standards. He often tells her that her self-respect was what made him realize she was someone special. You see, boundaries aren't meant to push people away. They're meant to create a space where healthy relationships can flourish. When you communicate your boundaries with clarity and kindness, you're not being difficult, you're being honest about who you are and what you need. And here's another important point about boundaries. They're not just about saying no. Sometimes they're about saying yes to yourself first. A high-value woman doesn't cancel her plans with friends because a guy she's interested in suddenly asks her out. She doesn't abandon her workout routine or her career goals or her personal time for a relationship. She integrates a relationship into her already full life. That's the difference between a woman who seems desperate and a woman who seems desirable. One is trying to build her life around a man, the other is inviting a man into the life she already loves. Number 3, they communicate hurt without attack. We've all been there, that moment when someone hurts us and our instinct is to hurt them back. But high-value women understand something crucial. How you handle conflict reveals your true character. Let's say your partner forgot an important anniversary or showed up an hour late for plans without properly communicating. Your immediate reaction might be, "You never think about my feelings. You're so selfish. You always do this." Those statements might feel satisfying in the moment, but they immediately put the other person on defense. And when someone feels attacked, they either fight back or shut down, neither of which leads to resolution. A high-value woman instead says, "I felt really disappointed when you forgot our anniversary because these milestones matter to me. It made me feel like our relationship isn't a priority for you." Do you see the difference? She's expressing the same hurt but taking ownership of her feelings using I statements rather than launching accusations. She's creating an opening for an honest conversation rather than a heated argument. This isn't about suppressing your emotions or swallowing your pride. It's about communicating in a way that actually solves problems rather than escalates them. I witnessed this firsthand with my parents. My mother is one of the most emotionally intelligent people I know. When I was growing up, I never heard her attack my father's character. Even during disagreements, she would always address the specific behavior that bothered her rather than making sweeping statements about who he was as a person. As a result, they could work through conflicts without creating lasting damage. That's what high-value communication looks like in practice. It's not about being perfect or never getting upset. It's about expressing your emotions in a way that leaves room for resolution rather than further division. And men respond to this communication style in a profound way. When you can express hurt without attacking, you create safety in the relationship. You show that it's possible to be both honest and kind, both vulnerable and strong. This ability to communicate difficult emotions effectively doesn't just improve your romantic relationships. It transforms all your interactions. Your friends feel safe sharing their true thoughts with you. Your colleagues trust you to give honest feedback without humiliation. Your family knows they can come to you with problems without fear of judgment. Number 4, they understand the power of mystery. Now I know what you're thinking. Matthew, are you telling me to play games and be mysterious? Absolutely not. But there's a massive difference between being authentic and offering your entire life story on the first date. In our social media age, we've confused oversharing with intimacy. True intimacy is earned over time, not downloaded in one sitting. A high-value woman understands the art of gradual revelation. She's not secretive or deceptive. She's simply discerning about what she shares and when she shares it. Think about your favorite books or shows. What keeps you turning the page or watching the next episode? It's the desire to discover what happens next. Human connection works the same way. When you reveal everything about yourself immediately, every insecurity, past heartbreak, family drama, and future hope, you remove the journey of discovery that creates deep connection. Instead, let him earn the right to know your depths. This isn't manipulation, it's natural relationship progression. Share your stories, opinions, and experiences authentically but gradually, like chapters in a book rather than blurting out the ending first. I once coached a woman who would tell men about her difficult childhood, previous toxic relationships, and deepest insecurities, all within the first hour of meeting them. She thought she was building intimacy, but in reality she was overwhelming them, and more concerningly, not giving herself time to assess whether these men were worthy of holding her vulnerable truths. We worked on what I call layered sharing, revealing herself authentically but appropriately for each stage of relationship development. As she implemented this approach, she noticed something interesting. Men became more invested in getting to know her. They asked deeper questions. They remembered details about her. They made more effort. Mystery isn't about being fake or playing hard to get. It's about honoring the natural progression of human connection and recognizing that meaningful relationships develop over time, not all at once. This doesn't mean you can't be open and honest from the beginning. It simply means you understand that trust is built, not given freely, and some parts of your story are precious enough to share only with those who have shown they deserve access to your inner world. Number 5, they offer genuine warmth without desperation. There's a world of difference between being affectionate and being needy, between giving a genuine compliment and showering someone with excessive praise to win their approval. I worked with a client, we'll call her Emma, who couldn't understand why men would initially seem interested, but then pull away. When I reviewed her text exchanges, I spotted it immediately. She was overwhelming them with affection before they'd earned it. A high-value woman doesn't withhold affection, but she doesn't use it as currency either. She doesn't say "I miss you" after one date, shower a man with compliments to make him feel good about himself, or use physical affection to create a false sense of intimacy. Instead, her warmth is genuine but measured. When she gives a compliment, it's specific and thoughtful, not a desperate attempt to make him like her. When she expresses affection, it's because she truly feels it, not because she's trying to secure his interest. The difference may seem subtle, but men feel it instantly. Earned admiration is valued, desperate affection creates pressure. I remember working with a woman who described herself as incredibly loving and affectionate. In reality, she was using affection as a way to create artificial closeness and secure a man's interest before it was naturally developing. We worked on helping her recognize the difference between genuine connection and anxious attachment disguised as affection. As she learned to pace herself emotionally and allow relationships to develop more naturally, she stopped experiencing the pattern of men becoming overwhelmed and withdrawing. More importantly, she started enjoying her dating experiences more because she wasn't constantly anxious about whether her affection was being reciprocated. Genuine warmth comes from a place of fullness, not emptiness. When you're trying to get something from someone, validation, security, proof of their interest, your affection carries an energetic weight to it that people can sense even if they can't articulate it. But when your affection is an authentic expression of what you're already feeling, freely given without expectation of return, it has a lightness and ease that is deeply attractive. Number 6, they master the art of listening. In our quest to impress, we often forget the most impressive skill of all, truly listening. Most people listen to respond. They're mentally planning their next point while the other person is still talking. A high-value woman listens to understand. She's fully present, genuinely curious, and more interested in understanding you than improving herself. This quality is so rare in today's world that when you truly listen to someone, it's almost shocking to them. They feel seen in a way that few people have made them feel before. The next time you're in conversation with a man you're interested in, challenge yourself to ask follow-up questions based on what he's saying, maintain comfortable eye contact, put your phone away completely, and reference things he mentioned earlier in the conversation. You'll be amazed at how this simple shift changes the dynamic between you. Men, people in general, gravitate toward those who make them feel interesting and understood. I remember being at a networking event in Los Angeles a few years ago. The room was full of successful, attractive, accomplished people. But there was one woman everyone wanted to talk to. She wasn't the most conventionally beautiful, the loudest, or the most famous, but she had mastered the art of presence. When she spoke with someone, it was as if no one else existed. She asked thoughtful questions. She remembered details from earlier conversations. She made each person feel like the most interesting human in the room. Later, I had the chance to speak with her, and I experienced it firsthand. In a room full of distractions, she was fully present, and it was magnetic. That's the power of truly listening. It's not just a communication skill, it's a form of respect. It says to the other person, I value what you have to say. I'm not just waiting for my turn to speak. I'm not scanning the room for someone more important. I'm here with you now. And in our hyper-distracted world, this kind of presence has become increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. A woman who can listen, truly listen, stands out immediately. Number 7, they know when to walk away. This might be the most powerful communication tool of all. The willingness to walk away from situations that don't serve you. A high-value woman doesn't cling. She doesn't chase. She doesn't try to convince someone of her worth. She knows that if someone doesn't recognize what she brings to the table, that's valuable information about their discernment, not about her value. This doesn't mean she's quick to cut people off or that she doesn't invest in relationships. It means she has a fundamental understanding that her happiness isn't dependent on any single person's validation. If a man is inconsistent, disrespectful, or simply not meeting her halfway, she doesn't make excuses for his behavior, work harder to win his attention, or compromise her standards out of fear of being alone. She simply recognizes the situation for what it is and makes the difficult but necessary choice to redirect her energy toward people and experiences that align with her worth. And here's what's fascinating. The moment you develop this genuine willingness to walk away, you become infinitely more attractive. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because your self-sufficiency is evident in everything you do and say. I've seen this transformation countless times. A woman comes to me, heartbroken over a man who isn't treating her well. We work together to help her rediscover her value and develop the strength to walk away. And almost like magic, her entire dating landscape changes. Suddenly, the men she meets are more respectful, more consistent, more invested. Nothing about her physical appearance has changed. What's changed is the energy she's projecting. An energy that says, I am complete with or without you. There's a client I worked with years ago who was stuck in an on-again, off-again relationship with a man who couldn't commit. She would take him back each time he returned with promises of change. When she finally found the strength to walk away completely, not as a manipulation tactic, but as a genuine act of self-love, everything shifted. Within 6 months, she met someone who was clear from the beginning about wanting a future with her. The lesson here isn't that walking away magically brings the right person to you. It's that walking away from what's wrong for you creates the space for what's right. And it communicates to the world that you know your worth isn't negotiable. Number 8, they speak with purpose and impact. In a world full of noise, there's immense power in thoughtful speech. A high-value woman understands that everything she says either adds value or takes up space. She doesn't fill silence with nervous chatter, engage in gossip or drama, or use her words carelessly. When she speaks, it's because she has something worth saying. She's comfortable with pauses in conversation. She doesn't feel the need to narrate every thought that crosses her mind. This selective communication makes her words carry weight. When she offers an opinion, people listen. When she gives advice, people value it. When she pays a compliment, people treasure it because they know she means it. This isn't about being aloof or speaking less. It's about speaking with intention. I've had the privilege of working with some incredibly influential women, CEOs, authors, thought leaders. One quality they all share is this: they don't waste words. When they speak, it's purposeful. They don't feel compelled to fill every silence or to offer an opinion on every topic. They've learned the power of selective communication. This quality is particularly impactful in romantic relationships. In a culture that often encourages women to shrink themselves, to be agreeable, to smooth over every awkward moment with conversation, there's something powerfully attractive about a woman who speaks with intention and allows silence to exist. I remember coaching a woman who would text a man she was dating multiple times throughout the day, sending memes, asking random questions, commenting on her day, regardless of whether he was responding with the same frequency or enthusiasm. When she shifted to more intentional communication, reaching out when she had something meaningful to say, rather than to fill space or ease her anxiety about the connection, the dynamic of the relationship completely changed. He began initiating more, the quality of their conversations improved, the connection deepened. This isn't about playing games or artificially limiting your communication. It's about recognizing that your words have value, and when you treat them as precious, others will too. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. None of these qualities require you to change who you are fundamentally. This isn't about adopting a persona or playing a role. It's about communicating in a way that accurately reflects your true worth. The beautiful truth is this: you already are a high-value woman. These communication shifts simply allow others to recognize that value more clearly. I see this transformation happen all the time in my seminars. Women who have been stuck in patterns of unhealthy relationships make these subtle but powerful changes in how they communicate, and suddenly, everything shifts. The men in their lives respond differently. Their professional relationships improve. Their friendships deepen. Because how you communicate isn't just about dating. It's about how you move through the world. Try implementing just one of these principles this week. Notice how it feels, not just how others respond, but how you feel when you communicate from a place of genuine self-worth. Remember, this journey isn't about finding someone who will value you. It's about becoming so aligned with your own value that you naturally attract people who recognize it too. I'd love to hear which of these resonated most with you. Leave a comment below. I genuinely read every single one. And if there's another topic you'd like me to cover, let me know. Until next time, remember, you're not just looking for someone who wants you. You're looking for someone who sees you, appreciates you, and matches your investment. And that starts with how you communicate your worth. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'll see you in the next video.